I want to go back to some of Alf's old ads, like the Benetton ad, where you're breastfeeding.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I figured that subject would come up. It was an idea that it's an idea that I came up with.
Yeah. Oh, that was your idea.
The whole initial idea was to do some kind of a spoof with the United Colors of Benetton.
Yeah.
Which was huge at the time.
Which was huge at the time, you know what I mean? Calvin Klein was a big inspiration to skateboard marketing and stuff like that. So the whole objective was to kind of, funnel down in that direction. And then I came up with the idea to
suck on a tit.
Fun fact, you know
whose boob is it?
Do you want to say it, or I could say?
Go for it.
It's Tim Brown's sister, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, if you make your boxers, those drawers boxers today, there's like Ethica and all this. I think the market was just a little bit too ahead of its time.
Right.
Totally.
You would have
like
a whole
15
entire empire.
Well, you couldn't take.
They were good too.
You couldn't take a hold of all the markets at one time, but we weren't ahead of our time on some markets.
No,
that's for sure.
yeah.
You're right on time.
Shoes.
But you can't.
But that
you can't win them all.
You definitely jumped ahead. How was that? When you guys first did like 8-ball that turned into drawers that turned into DC? Could you even fathom how it was going to take over all of skating? It was by far the biggest brand for a decade plus. You know what I mean?
It's hard to say what I forecasted. I think back then I didn't forecast probably more than a year ahead of my life, much further, or even a few days. I don't know. To be honest, I don't really recall what I was thinking, but I don't. I knew we had something special. I mean, I knew that there was a niche, and I knew people would love the fact that it was skater owned or whatever and founded. And the shoe guys were just taking advantage and raping the skateboarders. Like so much marketing they were getting out of these guys and such little give back. And that was the first. DC set the paradigm for how shoe brands supported their athletes. We set that new standard. Vans and Airwalk didn't do much for the riders up to that point. We made it really hard on the rest of at that point, everybody used DC's model as a reference to how things should be. So the skateboard industry can say thank you to DC for setting it up this way so you guys can make a ton of money off your shoe deals.
Absolutely. And there was a point in time where all you guys basically rode for Airwalk and/or Vans at the time and jumped ship, and within a matter of 2 years, Airwalk was just fucking non-existent on the playing field. There was I didn't see it.
Like everything shifted to DC, Etnies, and S or something like that.
I thought I saw like Colin in one of the S or the Vans. Remember that big team photo where it had like 150 people under some shit?
That was the end of the Vans era, and then they started trying to chase the like Korea built like athletic looking shoes and just
like the Nubuck and stuff. We couldn't give those shoes away at the shop I worked at. Like it was like an Omar Hassan Pro model or Cardio. Like
Vans almost died from that.
It was crazy to think about because looking at them now.
It's funny is I used to wear like the like low top Vans through that era just as when I rode for DC I would do it just as like a fashion thing when I'd go out at night, like who cares, because everybody wore like Nikes on the side or whatever. But I remember Ken used to be like, dude, look at those surfer shoes, dude. He used to make fun of them. Surfer shoes.
They were like Spicoli stoner shoes, yeah, for sure.
And little do you know, these surfer shoes are gonna come fucking whip the shit out of these companies in 15 years. That's what's up.
Yeah, like talk about a comeback.
Yeah.
Like a business, a skate business comeback. Like has any other skate
They just went back to what worked. They went back to their original plan.
They went back, it's low hanging fruit. The fashion shifted in the vulcanized direction and they just fucking mopped it up.
Remember how crazy the Solomons
But they don't work.
With the
that isn't the reason why they're succeeding. The shoes are shit. And I will say that right now. Vans, your shoes suck for skateboarding. I don't give a fuck. My fucking feet are ruined from my teenage years wearing Vans. Thank you very much. How many fucking heel bruises I have from those things? You guys in your early 20s can keep on wearing them slip-ons, dude. We'll see how long you make it.
Yeah. What shoes have you designed that we might know?
Man, I've been fortunate to be designing shoes for the past 17 years now, developing footwear for the past 17 years. I got into it through Castell Footwear back in 1996. They approached me to do a signature shoe, gave me an opportunity to design my signature shoe. During that whole process, I kind of really discovered in my brain, like, yo, this is something I'd like to do.
Yeah. I feel like
this dude's the baddest designer in the game. So
Hey Alfie, I've seen the artwork that you do of all the not everybody skates, but the other stuff you do.
Yeah.
Really recognizable.
I'm creating portraits of skate legends and icons like this guy, whatnot, and just kind of, you know, I kind of stumbled on this art style or whatever, and I started kind of applying it to the stuff that I liked and the stuff that kind of really made sense to me, which is the skateboard industries and legends and stuff. And like that's my way of kind of paying homage to a lot of the pros and a lot of the figures within our industry that mean a lot to me. You know
Speaking of paying homage, one of your early influences, one of your early favorites was Stevie Cab, right?
Yes, oh absolutely.
He influenced you so much that people like there's a school where in the hood that we used to go skate where he grew up, that there was a mural in the back. It's like this little flat guy called Libby.
Yeah.
And even so much so that you painted a portrait of Stevie Cab.
So yeah, the rad story behind
that
actually was the school that I actually started skateboarding at. So I went to that school, and one summer they were painting a mural on that wall, and they had neighborhood kids come through, and they were able to kind of contribute to it. And so, being that.
What grade were you in at this point in time? Sorry.
At that point, I was in the 5th grade.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I was in the 5th grade.
So just super geeking on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then you must have seen the mural that I painted. The neck was kind of
it's so
tilted to the side,
when you look at it.
Style.
And one guy had a little neck like this.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, dude, this is his school. It's so sick, dude. And just to see what he turned it into, the art that he does now.
And that was the actual school that I started skateboarding at. And so I was just hanging out one summer, playing basketball with some friends or whatnot, and 3 dudes come rolling up, and they're skateboarding. They're doing like power slides and ollies and all this cool shit. I mean, as you can attest to, anytime the first time any skateboarder has seen somebody do an ollie, you're like, okay, hold up, let me stop what I'm doing and figure out how the hell that just happened, right? And so. You know, I was just kind of really amused by what they were doing, and you know, built up the courage to be able to ask one of the dudes if I can borrow his board. As it turns out, that guy was Adrian Domain. Oh. And he rode for the Bones Brigade at the time and stuff. So he let me ride his board, and I was kind of just doing, you know, trying to emulate some of the tricks that I'd seen them doing and stuff. And so it was at that point when I knew that that's what I wanted to do or whatever. And so as it turns out, I mean, that's kind of what really makes that mural rad, being where that mural was at, and the influences that you know took place at that time.
It's an epic story.
Phenomenal.
So how does everybody skate start? Did you intend for it to be a brand? Because it seemed like it started like this silly memes, right?
That's it. I'll take you to the start of it. So at first, I got onto Instagram, started using it as kind of a format to kind of show my new footwear designs and some of the designs I was up to, some of the designs that I've done and stuff like that. But as my friends started getting on Instagram, it just kind of really quickly became a way for us to kind of start clowning each other and kind of jabbing each other. And so what we would do is create these little these memes, and we would clown each other and stuff. And so my friend Vinny Ponte and Danny Supa, we used to have these little friendly Instagram battles where we would just create memes and just joking on each other or whatnot. And I started calling Vinny Ponte Fat Bastard. And then we started thinking of ways on trying to create a cool meme that would just fuck him up. I dubbed Fat Bastard doing a board slide down a rail, and it seemed like everybody got a kick out of it. The more I started doing that, the common requests I started getting from in the comments was like, "Yo, these are funny. You got to make some shirts." One thing led to another. Next thing I knew, we got into Supreme in LA, and so after that happened, tons of shops kind of started, you know, calling and hitting us up, you know, and so. We'll see where it goes, man. I'm really excited about it, though. If you guys want to follow that, Everybody Skates Instagram is at Everybody Skates.
Nice.
I might have been I was only at DC for like 4 or 5 months when I worked there in like 2004, but I think when I was
remember him working there?
No, probably not.
Maybe not.
They moved me to California. DC paid for my relocation.
That's awesome.
So I have to be thankful for that.
That's sweet.
Fancy pants over there.
That's
Jeez.
cute.
But I think right around that time you might have had that surgery where you stayed awake during the surgery.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to just ask you what it's like to stay awake during a surgery.
I mean, it's not like something you choose or want to do. You don't want to get surgery to begin with, so the whole thing sucks to begin with, right? So, and the idea of being in a situation where you don't know completely what the options of repair are. I've been through a process where I had a surgery once where I was told it was going to get done one way, and because it wasn't possible, they had to wake me up out of the anesthesia, and I actually had to come back another time and reschedule the surgery and get it.
What was the reason? The
he wanted to make sure he knew he could slice me open because he was going to do it orthoscopically, but he said it was too fucked up, so he needed to open me all the way up. So he was like, I had to get your permission before I put a fucking scar that big on your shoulder. I was like, dude, you should have told me that could have been the he's my buddy, but
sign off on it, yeah.
Unfortunately, under the anesthesia, I got kind of like hot-headed about it and was not too happy. So my choice was the next time was like, I just want to know what the fuck's going on because I don't want to come back in here again and have to do this twice. Like, fuck that. Right. And who knows what the outcome is going to be if you don't have a say in it. I mean, it's a pretty big amount of trust you're giving somebody to put you completely to sleep, go inside your body, and then decide how they're going to fix your body. And you have no say in all of it. And it's your fucking body, you know? Yeah. So to me, it's not pleasurable to feel somebody doing, surgery on your body when you can actually feel some, I did all this local anesthetic and stuff, so it's not like I didn't have any numbing in the area, but you can still feel it inside. And you can feel the pressure and you can feel stuff happening in there, and it's fucking gross feeling, and it's not anything you want to deal with. Yeah. But it did work out where, I don't have to sign the contract that says I know they can die if I do the anesthesia. I can have say in what's happening, and it didn't. I was able to grin and bear it to the point where I was, could stand the pain. The local anesthetic was dulled it enough that I could deal with it. So.
How much are you communicating with the doctor during?
Quite a bit. I mean, I'm like asking questions every step of the way. I mean, that's.
Was that part of the reason why you wanted it, along with the other shit that you just spoke
Yeah,
of?
because what happens if they come across another scenario that, I mean, I've had 16 orthopedic surgeries, so I've signed this contract almost, I don't know, I think the last 4 surgeries or so I did just without being put to sleep, but, 12 surgeries that I've signed this contract that says, you can die from anesthesia, and it's pretty common actually. It's not as uncommon as you think. So it's I don't know how many times I fucking can sign that waiver and not be intimidated by it, but it got, and then just, I've done it now, so I know what to expect. Right. Matt Hoffman was the guy that gave me the real encouragement to go for it, and he told me he is doing the same thing.
Was it that bad when he did it? Were you like a little bit of grunting and groaning, but?
No, it's just more or less the thought of it,
Oh, really?
Like I could deal with the pain threshold, but the idea that there's somebody probing around inside your body and you can feel it and hear it, and then there's a video screen over here with the tools like grinding shit away, and you can feel it happening in there, and you can see it on the monitor, like little tools, little drills, like fucking dentists drilling in your tooth. Right. But in your side of your knee, and you can watch it happening, and you can feel it while it's happening, so it's kind of a weird, trippy thing to be involved in. Cool,
I just distinctly remember, I feel like I remember the scene where it was like a screw and a screwdriver, like a handheld screwdriver, and it was like, you hear it like squeaking, like yes. The way a screw goes into wood.
Twerking, yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
If you look at all the tools they use to do surgery, do they look so primitive? They look like fucking tools that the Indians would use to carve stones. I mean, that's the shit that they use to do surgery. It's that primitive looking. Except they're all stainless steel and they come in sterile packages. And they're presented, but if you look at, they're just look like stainless steel tongue depressor with like a little hook on the end, or like just such weird little tools, you know?
That's to hold back the ligament while they get into the next one.
It's just, sure.
So. Meanwhile, I had to take a blood test for a physical the other day. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep the night before.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. Yeah. Every time you're like, yeah.
Don't look. They tell you to look away.
Dude, it's so bad some days I can't skate. Like I have to be like, fuck, it's too natted out. There's no skate today. There's no skating at all.
It's too natted out. That is amazing.
Dude.